Guys, the grumpy Gran almost caught me. Watch this video until the end to save me. Hi, friends. Today we found ourselves in a creepy place, the house of a grumpy grandmother. She not only locked us in here, but also set up numerous obstacles. The house looks cozy at first glance, but every corner hides dangers. It reminds me of Granny's house, only this one is even scarier.
Hello, everyone! Yes, Labrador, this grandma is a real trickster. She not only locked us in the house, but also turned it into a real trap. Every step requires utmost caution, as something unexpected could be lurking around every corner. This place is definitely not for the faint of heart.
On this property, there's another equally creepy house. It seems Grandma decided to double our troubles. Both houses are full of terrifying challenges, and we'll have to go through them to escape. These houses remind me of the famous Granny house, where every sound can give away your location, and every room is full of surprises.
This grandma is the meanest in the world. She's not going to let us go easily. Even if we get out of the houses, we'll face a final battle with her. We need to be ready for this. She clearly knows how to make us run. Grandma is not just grumpy, she has incredible cunning and malice.
But despite all her tricks, we won't give up. Every step we take brings us closer to freedom. We know we can overcome any obstacles she has put in our way. The main thing is to stay calm and focused. This situation requires our maximum concentration.
You're right, Labrador. We've already been through a lot, and this challenge won't be an exception. We'll keep moving forward despite all difficulties. Grandma might be devious, but our determination is stronger. This house may be full of secrets, but we'll uncover them all.
There are many secrets in this house, but we as real sheriffs know how to find a way out of any situation. We'll use everything we find to escape and defeat Grandma. It won't be easy, but we're ready. The house resembles a labyrinth with many hideouts and hidden passages that we need to figure out.
Yes, this adventure will stay with us for a long time, but we know we can handle it. Let's go, friends! New challenges await us, and we're ready for them. Grandma thinks she can stop us, but she doesn't know who she's dealing with.
Grandma's house is full of old toys, strange paintings, and secret doors. It seems like it has a life of its own. Sometimes you can hear the floorboards creak or doors slam, even when no one is around. The atmosphere here is just creepy, making our task even more thrilling.
We must be careful because in this house, every little thing could be a trap. Maybe Grandma has hidden keys or clues that will help us escape. We need to stay alert and use all our skills to avoid getting caught.
Gran is not only smart, but also very fast. She can appear at any moment, and we'll have to react quickly. We need to work as a team, support each other, and not lose faith in our success. This adventure demands our utmost courage and resourcefulness.
Together, we can overcome all obstacles. Grandma may be dangerous, but she won't stop us. Guys, what do you think of this Grandma? She looks a bit creepy to me. Her head is very big, just like the house itself. Labrador, we've already made it quite far. Guys, make sure to subscribe and like.
Make sure to subscribe and like. The second house, like the first one on the property, seems to hold even more dangers. Grandma clearly won't let us go without a fight. This house has long corridors leading to locked doors, behind which the answers to our questions might be hidden.
How can someone even make such a scary house? I wouldn't live here for anything. Creaking floorboards, cold wind seeping through the cracks in the walls, and sudden sounds that make your heart race. But we both know that behind any door might be the key to our freedom.
While we are running away from these scary monsters, by the way, who are they? What do you think, friends? Write your opinions in the comments. I think they are zombies. What do you say, Dobie? You think they are children kidnapped by this old woman? Well, I don't know, maybe you're right, but I hope not.
What else is on the property of her house? I don't understand how she can live here. It's very scary. Really very scary. Every one of your views makes us braver, but still, we shouldn't overdo it, because after all, we are not supermen. Labrador, can you tell them a story where we acted like real superheroes?
In our cozy animal town, life was peaceful and calm until rumors about a strange grandmother began to spread. She was short, with gray hair, and always wore a huge cardigan she knitted herself. She was often seen walking around the streets, and at first glance, she seemed like a regular old lady. But soon, strange things started happening. Children playing in the park or on the playground began to disappear. At first, one or two kids went missing, causing concern among parents. But when the number of missing children increased, the town was gripped by real panic.
Labrador and I immediately knew we had to act fast. As we began our investigation, we noticed one detail. The strange grandmother was always near the places where children disappeared. It was like she was watching them. We decided to keep an eye on her. After a few days, we saw her approach children, offering them candy and inviting them to her house for knitting lessons. The kids, unsuspecting, gladly followed her.
The plan was simple. We needed to enter the house pretending to be regular visitors and free the children. Dobie and I put on everyday clothes and headed to the grandma's house. She greeted us with a smile and invited us in, not suspecting our real purpose. The house was filled with knitted items, scarves, hats, sweaters, even cat toys. But the scariest part was in another room. There, sitting at small tables, the children were knitting. Their faces were tired and sad, and they worked without stopping.
We knew we had to act quickly and carefully. Waiting for the moment when the grandma went to another room, we hurried to the children and started freeing them. They were scared, but when they saw us, they knew rescue was near. We led the children out of the house and hid them in a safe place nearby. Meanwhile, the grandma discovered they were missing and started to panic. She was running around the house trying to find them.
We called for backup, and when the grandma tried to escape, she was quickly apprehended. She was arrested and charged with kidnapping and exploiting children. It turned out she was using the children to create her knitted items, which she then sold. We were happy we could save the children and prevent further kidnappings.
The children were returned to their families, and the town became peaceful again. Parents were endlessly grateful to us for saving their children. This incident showed that even behind the appearance of a harmless old lady, real danger could be lurking. We must always be vigilant and ready to protect our town from any threat.
This story was an important lesson for us. We realized that you can't always judge a person by their appearance. The children quickly recovered and returned to their normal lives. Now we continue to patrol the town to make sure something like this never happens again. We have increased security and pay more attention to all new residents.
The town returned to its usual life. The residents felt safe again, knowing we were always on guard. We continue our work, doing everything possible to make every resident feel protected. This story will remain in our memory as an example of how courage and determination can overcome any danger.
There's another very secret story, just for you friends. Last year, New Year's was nothing like we expected. We were all waiting for Father Frost with his gifts and joy. But instead, on the horizon appeared Granny Frost. At first, she seemed just as kind as her predecessor, but soon we noticed some strange things.
Yes, Labrador, this Granny Frost didn't bring joy. She took it away. She went from house to house collecting candies and sweets, and the gifts she brought were either broken or completely different from what the children had expected. She said she was doing this because she wanted to feel important, but her actions only caused pain.
We noticed something was off when we saw her enter one house and take all the candies off the tree. That was suspicious, and we realized we had to act. We started keeping an eye on her to figure out what she was up to.
Yes, we set a trap. We put some sweets on the table and left a few candies under the tree to lure her in. And sure enough, she came, and we caught her. She was surprised when we grabbed her, but then she told us everything.
It turned out Granny Frost used to be Father Frost. She had lost her magic, and to feel important again, she decided to take away joy from people, not realizing that it was wrong. She thought this would help her regain her power.
We explained to her that real magic isn't about taking from others, but about giving joy. We told her how Father Frost brings happiness to children, and Granny Frost could help decorate homes and make gifts with her own hands. Instead of destroying, she could create.
After that, she changed. We helped her regain her magic, but not the old magic of taking, but the new magic of giving joy. Granny Frost started making toys for children, helping decorate Christmas trees, and even organizing parties for everyone.
Now, New Year's became a holiday for all. Granny Frost no longer took joy. She made it available to everyone. Together with Father Frost and Granny Frost, we created the most magical New Year anyone could ever imagine.
And so, our adventure in the house of that wicked grandma has come to an end. We managed to get through all her traps and finally find the way out. It was tough, but with your support and our strength, we made it.
Yes, Labrador, it was a real challenge, but as always, we didn't give up. Thanks to everyone who was with us. We proved that with teamwork and determination, we can overcome any obstacle. And the grandma, she just couldn't stop us.
A baby is chasing me. Like and leave a comment to save me. Hello guys, we're in Roblox, and as you can see, we're in the escape from the big baby mode. I'm here, as always, in the role of the sheriff, ready to take on any challenge. We're in a daycare, but this is not the daycare I remember. Dobie and I have to save it because something terrible is happening right now. A mutant baby has taken over this world, and we need to navigate its traps and challenges to reach the end. Dobie, are you ready?
Yes, Labrador, I'm ready. I can see we've gotten ourselves into a serious mess, but no worries. The key is not to panic. This is the moment when every step counts. We need to be cautious and make quick decisions. You're right. This daycare isn't exactly what it should be. Everything's turned upside down. Our goal is to break through all these obstacles, find and defeat the mutant, and restore order to this world.
Exactly. First, we need to find a way through these blocked doors. According to the map, there are a few tough sections ahead. We have to be on guard because this mutant is definitely not resting. Look, over there. Behind that toy, something's moving in the shadows. Are you ready, Dobie?
All right, Labrador, it's time to act. If we stick together, no challenge will be too big for us. This place, I understand, is going to test us every step of the way. But honestly, I'd rather face an army of mutants than deal with a couple of random parkour obstacles. So, let's go. Let's do this.
You're right, Dobie. Let's do this. Let's see what challenges await us. I'm already ready to jump over these obstacles. I hope you're not scared.
Scared? You're the one who's scared. I know how to survive in the toughest situations. We've saved this world more than once, and this time will be no different. Just be ready, because I think the toughest challenge awaits us at the end. An army of mutants. But we're not the type to back down.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. All right, let's move forward. We're almost there. I feel like this mutant army isn't just a crowd. They're real monsters. But I think they're not ready for two sheriffs at our level. Dobie, when we get to them, let's act fast and in sync.
No panic, Labrador. We're getting ready for the big moment. Our victory. We'll get through all the parkour, overcome any traps, and even if we face an army of babies, we'll handle it. Remember, it all depends on us. So let's go. Let's move forward.
Hello, friends. It's me, Sheriff Labrador, and Officer Dobie and I have an unusual story for you. Today, we're going to tell you how mutant babies took over our city. Things escalated quickly, and believe me, it was something strange. Dobie and I had just finished our patrol. The sun was shining. Everything was calm. But suddenly, we heard strange cries, like something unnatural. It didn't sound like the usual city noises.
When we got to the source of the sounds, I thought it was just mischief. Babies, what could they do? But when I saw these little creatures, I realized these were no ordinary kids. Small, with green eyes, they began to gather, and there was something in their gaze that made me uneasy. They looked like they knew exactly what they were doing.
And that's when I realized something was wrong. Mutants, even ones this small, were far more dangerous than we thought. They began moving through the streets like an organized group. They quickly took control of one of the districts. I saw one of them approach a streetlight and, believe it or not, turn it on. These kids weren't what we expected.
It wasn't just strange, it was terrifying. I thought they were helpless, but these mutants somehow hacked the security systems and began blocking the streets, fast. And they weren't just crawling around. They were actively taking control of the area, as if they knew exactly how to do it. I realized we needed to act immediately.
I suggested we split up. I'll take control of the streets and you, Dobie, protect the headquarters. We needed to act in coordination before these mutants took over the whole city.
You're right. We needed to block the key points quickly. I went to the headquarters, hoping I could organize a defense. The mutants didn't stop. They moved with such confidence. But when I got there, I realized they were already at the doorstep. It was too late to block the headquarters, so I had to find another way out.
I was struggling to break through their ranks, but they had become so strong that it was clear. Brute force alone wouldn't help. These little mutants knew how to control the city. The mutants weren't just taking the streets, they started controlling the electricity, water supply, and systems. They could hack anything.
And that's when I realized they weren't just taking over the territory. They could destroy infrastructure like real manipulators. I started working with the team to create barricades. But even with barricades, it wasn't easy. These mutants used their abilities to bypass our traps. They acted too smoothly.
Realizing we needed to act even faster, I gathered a group. The mutants were tightening the ring around the city. But no matter how hard we tried, they wouldn't stop. Every time we thought we had them cornered, they'd show up on the other side. And this was just the beginning.
Labrador and I knew we had to proceed with maximum caution. The whole team was on standby. We needed to not just defend the city, but take it back under control. The mutants were smart and quickly adapted to our actions, but we didn't give up.
Every minute was worth its weight in gold. Dobie and I realized that regular methods wouldn't help. We needed something radically new to stop the mutants. I gathered a group of officers to try to block their paths. We knew they weren't just attacking, they were following a plan. They didn't need much time to figure out how to act.
Labrador and I understood that we couldn't just run around the city trying to overpower them. These mutants were too smart for that. We needed to find their weak spot. I suggested trying to use their own abilities against them. If they were so good at controlling technology, maybe we could set traps using the same systems.
Dobie was right. We quickly built a few traps using the city's disabled systems. We triggered old alarms and loud sounds to confuse the mutants. But, as it turned out, they were ready for that too. When we started activating the traps, one of the mutants seemed to notice our move right away. He approached the control panel and literally turned off all our devices in a second. We didn't even have time to figure out how it happened.
These little guys started playing with us. Their intellect turned out to be far more developed than we thought. They controlled everything, from the old panels to communication systems. We started feeling like we were losing control. But Labrador didn't give up. He suggested going back to the old plan and luring the mutants into the city center. We set up a few fake groups at different points to distract them.
I knew it was risky, but we had no choice. We placed fake patrols in the most unexpected places, and it worked. The mutants went to where they thought we were, but they didn't expect that we would actually be in their center. As soon as they started focusing on the false targets, Dobie and my team slipped into their rear.
When we were among them, it was already too late. The mutants realized they had been tricked and began to tighten the ring around us. But we had one last chance. We launched the local barricade system to slow them down. This was the turning point. The mutants started retreating, realizing they couldn't handle such a trap.
We caught them in the trap, but they didn't give up. The little mutants tried to break through, using all their abilities. But we didn't let them escape. Time passed, and with every moment, we were getting closer to victory.
After a long standoff, we finally gained the upper hand. The mutants began to lose control. Their strength weakened. We managed to restore order to the city, but one thing was clear. We had to be ready for another attack.
Yes, we won, but the cost was high. This time we managed to regain control of the city, but who knows what will happen next? These mutants won't just disappear.
Next time, we'll be ready. We've learned an important lesson. Mutant babies are not just toys. They can be more dangerous than we thought. But we will protect our city, no matter what.
After we won, the city slowly began to return to normal life. But in our hearts, the fear remained. We couldn't forget just how dangerous those little mutants turned out to be. No matter how hard we tried to relax, the thought that they might return haunted us. These kids weren't just helpless babies. They were something else, something hard to deal with.
Exactly, Labrador. We couldn't afford to let our guard down. We started working hard to improve the security systems, including installing new sensors and cameras that would allow us to detect any threat earlier. But even with these measures, we knew this wasn't the end. Deep down, I felt that they could come back. And if they did, they would be even stronger.
You're right, Dobie. But right now, we need to focus on preparing for our next encounter with them. And not just with them, but with any other potential threats. We've become stronger after this experience. The city is beginning to recover, but you and I, Officer Dobie, have a lot more work ahead of us. These aren't just local problems. We must be ready for any challenge that comes to our city.
I'm with you, Labrador. We're in this together, and that gives me confidence. You know, sometimes it feels like this was just a warning. Maybe there are other forces out there that haven't revealed themselves yet. But one thing I know for sure, if they come back, we'll be ready. We will protect this city from any threats. whether they're mutants, technology, or something much more dangerous.
But now, Dobie, let's take a little break from everything that's happened. We've done our job, but always remember, we are the ones standing guard over this city. Every day in our city starts differently. Sometimes it's peaceful, patrolling the streets, handling complaints, rescuing kittens from trees. And sometimes it turns into a real nightmare. Today was, without a doubt, one of the worst. I had just poured myself a cup of coffee when the radio crackled sharply, and the dispatcher's voice came through with such urgency that my morning drowsiness disappeared instantly. Something strange was happening at the Central City Hospital. Witnesses reported eerie sounds, screams, and laughter. Yes, genuine, sinister laughter echoing through the hospital's speakers. As I processed this information, the door to the station burst open and Dobie rushed in. He was holding a box of donuts, but the moment he saw my face, he set it down on the table, forgetting about breakfast. I briefly explained the situation, and within minutes, we were racing toward the scene in our police car.
When we arrived, it was immediately clear. This wasn't a normal call. All the hospital windows were covered with black curtains, and on the glass of the main entrance hung a strange poster. A perfect smile is the key to life. Below the words was a terrifying grin with perfectly straight but unnaturally sharp teeth. A crowd had gathered outside. People murmured in fear, some trying to call their loved ones inside. But no one answered. The hospital seemed like a sealed-off world, one that no one could enter or leave. As soon as we approached the doors, a voice boomed from the speakers. Deep, hoarse, but with fake cheerfulness. "Welcome to the Center for the Perfect Smile, Sheriffs. We've been expecting you." Then, with a loud click, the doors groaned open.
Usually, when doors open by themselves, it's a sign you should stay away. But we had no choice. There could be injured people, hostages, or worse inside. We stepped in. Inside, an eerie silence reigned. The dim lights flickered, making it feel like we had entered an abandoned clinic. Medical posters hung everywhere, but their messages were distorted. Everyone must smile. Don't be afraid, this won't hurt. Your teeth belong to me. I took a step forward and suddenly felt something sticky under my paws. Looking down, I saw the floor covered in a substance resembling toothpaste, but with a strong chemical smell.
The hallway stretched forward, leading us deeper into the hospital. We could hear faint noises, like whispering behind the walls, but too indistinct to understand. A shiver ran down my spine. Suddenly, a man in a white coat dashed around the corner. He was gasping for breath, his eyes filled with terror. A doctor! He grabbed my arm, squeezing it so tightly that I knew he was on the edge of panic. Stop him! Stop him before it's too late! He wheezed. But before we could ask him anything, a deafening alarm blared, and the doctor convulsed as if struck by electricity. I turned just in time to see a mechanical arm extend from the wall, ending in a long, gleaming needle. It stabbed into the doctor's neck. He froze, then slowly collapsed to the floor. We stepped back. "Disobedient patients shouldn't be wandering around the hospital," the voice from the speakers sneered.
It was clear now. Everything here was automated, and one person was controlling this madness. The twisted dentist who had taken over the hospital. We moved forward, passing rooms filled with horrifying tools. In one of them, a dental chair stood surrounded by mechanical arms, each holding sharp instruments. X-rays lined the walls, but they weren't normal. Every jaw on them had elongated, pointed teeth, as if someone had deliberately altered them. Dobie muttered a curse under his breath. We needed to find the head doctor, or someone from the staff who could explain what was happening.
We reached the main hall, where a massive statue stood in the center of a tooth, a giant, gleaming human tooth, enlarged dozens of times. Its surface shone as if it were made of real enamel. Then he appeared. A loud screech echoed from the speakers, followed by an eerily cheerful voice. "Oh, finally! I've been waiting for you, sheriffs." We turned and saw a figure emerging from the shadows, tall and thin, dressed in a long white coat, yet moving with an unnerving puppet-like fluidity. His yellow-lensed glasses reflected the dim light, and his mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. "Dr. Pearl at your service? Ready for your checkup?"
I clenched my teeth and stepped forward. But suddenly the walls began to shift. The floor trembled, and the giant tooth statue started splitting open, revealing a deep, dark shaft beneath it. You won't leave until your treatment is complete. That's when I realized it was a trap. We were standing in the center of the room, surrounded by walls that were slowly closing in.
We had little time. I spotted a control panel near the door and rushed toward it. At the last second, I managed to hack the system, and the walls stopped moving. But that was just the beginning. Dr. Pearl clapped his hands, and figures began emerging from the shaft beneath the statue. Patients, but twisted. Their mouths were frozen in wide, grotesque smiles, and in their hands they clutched massive metallic toothbrushes. We braced ourselves for the final battle.
When the patients began crawling out of the shaft, their mouths unnaturally stretched into wide grins, clutching massive metallic toothbrushes in their hands, I realized they weren't just hypnotized hostages. Their movements were jerky, mechanical, as if someone was controlling them like puppets. Dr. Pearl stood off to the side, arms crossed over his chest, watching with pleasure. The flickering lights cast his elongated shadow on the walls, making him seem even taller. Dobie and I exchanged glances. We had to come up with something fast before we were completely surrounded. I was the first to charge forward, ducking under the massive toothbrush swung by one of the patients. He smashed it into the floor, shattering it into pieces, but immediately, as if on command, two more lunged at me, aiming their strange weapons at my head.
I knew Pearl was controlling them, but how? We needed to find the source of the signal. I blocked a toothbrush strike, kicking the nearest patient's arm. He flinched but kept moving, as if he couldn't feel pain. Then I noticed it. Each of them had a small metallic box embedded in the skin at the back of their necks. I understood. These were control devices. Labrador was fighting off three at once, while I jumped at the closest patient and ripped the box from his neck. A strange crackling noise sounded, and he instantly collapsed to the floor like a broken toy. "They're connected to a system!" I shouted. "We have to disable the main transmitter!" Dr. Pearl laughed, his teeth gleaming under the flickering lights.
I knocked one of the patients aside and quickly scanned the room. There had to be a control center somewhere in this hall. That's when I noticed a metallic panel on the wall, standing out among the hospital's old-fashioned decor. Without hesitation, I yanked out my baton and hurled it straight at the panel. A loud screech followed, sparks flying in all directions. For a second, the patients froze, but then they started moving again. The transmitter had to be somewhere else. Pearl sighed and took a step forward. What a disappointment, sheriffs. I thought you were smarter.
And then I saw it. Under his lab coat, something faintly glowed on his chest. A barely noticeable green light. I remembered how old radio transmitters worked. Sometimes, to distribute a signal across an entire system, the host had to be at the center of it. That could only mean one thing. Pearl himself was the main transmitter. I signaled Labrador and pretended to attack from the front. Pearl smirked, but in that moment, Labrador lunged from the side, pulled out a taser, and pressed it directly to the evil dentist's chest. Electricity surged through his body, and he convulsed like a mannequin on broken springs. At that moment, all the patients around us froze, then slowly began to collapse to the floor. Their hands no longer gripped the oversized toothbrushes, and their faces, now free of those grotesque smiles, showed only exhaustion and confusion.
Dr. Pearl fell to his knees, his pristine lab coat now crumpled and stained. You don't understand? He gasped, his voice suddenly uncertain. I grabbed him by the collar. We understand just fine. You wanted to turn everyone into your test subjects, but your hospital is closed for good.
As we cuffed him, the hospital doors finally unlocked, and our colleagues stormed inside. Doctors and patients began to regain consciousness, slowly realizing what had happened. I glanced at the giant tooth statue. It now looked utterly ridiculous. "You know," I said to Labrador, "after this, I definitely won't be visiting the dentist anytime soon." He chuckled. "Just don't forget to brush your teeth." We escorted Pearl outside. The setting sun painted the sky in dark hues. It was over. Another insane case. Closed. But just as we got into the car, the radio crackled to life. A new call. Labrador glanced at me, sighed, and started the engine. "Hi, friends. Today we're going to try to escape from an evil dog in Roblox. It's right behind us, but it seems to be sleeping. So for now, we're safe."
Hi everyone! Not only do we have challenges ahead, but also boss battles. By the way, if you know the name of this dog, let us know in the comments.
Sheriff Labrador, what if we jump on her belly?
Let's do it, but be ready in case she wakes up, don't worry.
I think she's stuffed and watched TV all night.
Yeah, looks like we need to crawl through the vents, but there's parkour ahead. Good thing I did that back in school.
Oh no, you accidentally broke her mom's vase. Looks like she's sleeping soundly. Hope she won't notice when she wakes up.
Let's quickly pass through and slip away. Oh, here's a huge room. See those metal platforms? We need to press a button.
I wonder why this dog created all these challenges. I don't think she could handle them herself, although they could be useful for maintaining health.
Wow, it's a rope bridge. I used to ride one of those when I was a kid. Maybe she built all these obstacles so no one could disturb her sleep. But here we are, trying to escape from her. Strange that she kidnapped us. Look, she has a family. Why can't we see them? And who's the guy in the picture on the left? Looks like Tom's friend.
I have a theory. We've entered a world of talking animals. Maybe this is hell because no one wants to be forced to talk, especially about things they don't want to.
Probably. She built all these trials to avoid the fate of endless conversations. Now we need to find the others and figure out why we were kidnapped.
Maybe they kidnapped us so we'd replace them in conversations and they could be free? Or maybe they feed on other animals and that gives them the ability to talk? Or maybe they're just a little crazy. We need to focus on getting out of here and figuring out what's going on.
We need to crawl through the vents. It's the way to the next location. Hopefully we'll meet some new characters.
Look, it's Talking Tom.
Oh, he fell.
Get ready to run.
I don't think he has good intentions. Have you ever seen Tom with red eyes? He looks like he's ready to crush us like pancakes. Looks like he's about to start shooting lasers.
What if he can do more than just talk? We'll need superpowers to apprehend the suspects.
Why is he hiding around the corner? Did he think we couldn't see him?
Maybe he's a little dumb or just sleepy and disoriented.
He has funny little teeth like a baby. You know, he even seems a little cute to me.
Oh, looks like you like all of this. Hope you don't start turning into one of them. Are you in a trance or something?
I don't know. Hope I'm not getting absorbed by this atmosphere. If something happens, let me know.
Of course, let's go through the vent. We've already dealt with Tom. Let's see who's ahead. Looks like a kid's room.
Maybe it's Ben's room?
You're right, it's a girl. I wonder what her name is and if she's facing the same problem as Ben.
While you were talking, we're already in her paws. Why did we get teleported back? I don't think she's as evil as Tom.
I think so too. If she wanted to bite us, she would have gotten out through the bars. There are huge gaps in them.
Oh, her name is Lily. Strange that there's no room for her brother. Why are they separated like that? Let us know in the comments if you have a brother or sister and live in the same room.
What if something happened to her brother? Maybe that's why everyone went crazy and thinks we killed him.
Dobie, you're daydreaming again. It's distracting us from our main goal. I don't think it's as scary as you think.
We're in the central ventilation system that provides oxygen to the entire complex. I wonder what we can leave as a souvenir here.
It was an ordinary night when Dobie and I were patrolling the city of animals. Nothing unusual until a strange light appeared in the sky. It was pulsing, changing colors, and moving like it was alive. I immediately realized it wasn't a meteor or a regular drone. We decided to approach it. When we got to the deserted park, the light grew brighter and descended right in front of us. We stopped, turned on the sirens, and began observing. And then, from that light, dogs began to emerge.
I thought it was some kind of illusion, but no, these dogs look nothing like us. They were large, with bright, almost glowing eyes. Some of them wore metal collars, which were clearly more than just decorations. I felt something stir inside me. It was like encountering something completely different. They approached us confidently, as if they knew exactly what they were doing.
They didn't look like ordinary dogs. Their behavior was calm, but determined, and their eyes held such confidence that it was immediately clear. They weren't random visitors. One of the dogs, who seemed to be the leader, stepped forward and stood on its hind legs. It looked at us, and we realized that it wasn't just trying to scare us, it was trying to communicate. It began explaining that they came from another world, where everything is the opposite. There, dogs are the rulers, and humans are the pets.
I couldn't believe my ears. It felt like something out of a science fiction movie. These dogs claimed that their civilization was much older and more advanced than ours. They traveled between worlds, and now that they had found ours, they wanted to propose an exchange. We, the dogs, should become pets in their world, and they would become the masters in ours. And to do this, They were willing to use their technology to move us there.
I was stunned. We, the dogs, would become pets, and these creatures, strange as it sounded, would take our place. But their confidence in this proposal was so strong that there was no point in doubting. They said their world was one of harmony and order, where dogs rule and humans serve as pets. I felt that this wasn't just a random appearance of aliens. It was a proposal that could change everything.
I kept trying to wrap my head around what they were offering us. Exchange. It wasn't just a word. It meant that our world would change forever. We could try living on the other side, in their world, where dogs were rulers and humans were our pets. We could experience a life we'd never known and see how everything worked there. But I also realized that if we agreed, we would never return.
We were faced with this choice: exchange worlds, become pets in another world, or stay in ours. But knowing that would mark the end of ordinary life. I didn't know what to do, but in their eyes, I saw sincerity. This was more than just an offer. It was an opportunity. We could change not just our lives, but also understand what it meant to be part of another reality.
When they offered to use their technology to travel between worlds, I felt my heart race. It seemed unbelievable, but the thought that we could become part of their world was inevitable. Dogs ruling humans. Life in another world. I didn't know what awaited us, but I was sure of one thing. From this moment on, everything would change.
The day Dobie and I received the call, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. We were patrolling the streets of Animal Town, as usual, when our radar beeped. It was an emergency call, and when we heard what was happening, I felt my heart race. Something terrible was approaching. An evil scientist, known for his bizarre inventions, was threatening to launch a machine that could turn rain into a shower of sweet candy. It seemed harmless. What could be wrong with candy rain? But we knew the consequences could be catastrophic.
As soon as we heard about the scientist's plan, we knew exactly what was at stake. Candy rain wasn't just a fun prank. Sheriff and I knew that too much sugar was a serious threat. If this rain actually fell, all the kids would get toothaches. But it wasn't just that. We all know how hard it is to control the urge to eat a candy. What if there were too many of them? It could lead to severe dental issues and even health problems. We had to act fast.
We sped through the city, and with each passing kilometer, the sense of urgency grew. The scientist, as always, couldn't just leave people alone. He was insanely confident in his plan and didn't think about the consequences. In his lab, a massive machine was already prepared to launch the candy rain.
When we got to the location, everything was ready. The scientist was standing by his machine, surrounded by a tangle of wires and mechanisms that clearly didn't look safe. We immediately realized that time was running out. The machine had already started launching the first candies into the air. They were falling with great speed, like rain, but instead of water, it was caramel, chocolate.
Well, here we are. Behind this door, we've got the map's final boss waiting for us, and it looks like we were wrong. This isn't just any boss. It's a giant robot named Ben. Let's try shooting him right in the teeth. I'm aiming for his legs. Maybe that's his weak spot and he'll fall.
Wow! Ben turned out to be a real coward. Instead of fighting, he just built a giant robot.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he were sitting in a chair right now, sipping coffee and watching a movie. I hope it's not alcohol, though.
And he's probably watching football while we're attacking him. This is so unfair. When we got to the location, everything was ready. The scientist was standing by his machine, surrounded by a tangle of wires and mechanisms that clearly didn't look safe. We immediately realized that time was running out. The machine had already started launching the first candies into the air. They were falling with great speed, like rain, but instead of water, it was caramel, chocolate, and lollipops. I quickly assessed the situation. If we didn't intervene, tomorrow all the kids would be in trouble. As soon as we turned off the machine, the sweet rain stopped.
Wow, we won! Don't forget to congratulate us in the comments, but it's time to leave this crazy world of talking animals.
Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Hope you enjoyed our escape from the talking animals.
Yeah, don't forget to leave comments, like, and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to us. Also, check out our other videos and let us know what you'd like to see next. Time to move on. Let's go to new adventures. Wait, what's going on over there? I hope that's not a giant ginger robot. Or Angela. Bye. This living toy wants to catch us. Watch the video until the end to save us. Oh no! Hello, friends! Today, Dobby and I found ourselves in an exciting new Roblox game called Escape the Epic School, Obby. This school looks simply amazing. Bright walls, beautiful classrooms, and hallways. But as soon as we started moving through the school, we realized that something was wrong.
Hello, everyone! Yes, Labrador, you're right. In this school, all the teachers are animated toys. They've gone haywire and have become real threats. The head teacher is a huge head with a police hat and long arms and legs. He looks terrifying, and just seeing him gives you the chills. But that's not the only danger.
The school is indeed impressive with its beauty. Every classroom and hallway shows attention to detail. At first glance, it seems like the perfect place for learning. But we quickly understood that behind this beauty lies something sinister. The toy teachers, who were supposed to entertain children, now pose a serious threat.
One teacher that stood out was a toy pizza. When we first saw him, he seemed quite funny. But as soon as we got closer, he came to life and started chasing us. We quickly realized he was no joke, but thanks to our experience and teamwork, we managed to escape the danger.
All these teachers were once part of the educational process, but something went wrong, and they became the school's guards. We found out they were created to help children learn, but a system failure caused them to act aggressively. This is especially true for the head teacher, a huge head with long limbs. His appearance is truly frightening.
As we progress through the school, we notice how everything is meticulously detailed. The chemistry classroom has real laboratories, the gym has exercise equipment and basketball hoops. But none of this is for us. We need to find an exit and avoid these animated teachers.
With each passing minute, we become more convinced that this school is not an ordinary place. Everything here is designed to keep us inside. We constantly feel the eyes of these toys on us. They watch our every move, and it makes us uneasy.
Despite all these difficulties, we remain optimistic. We know that together we can overcome any obstacles. We've found ourselves in similar situations before and always found a way out. This time, we are not going to give up either.
Thank you for being with us, friends. Your support means a lot to us. We will keep you updated on all our adventures and hope that together we can escape from this epic school.
Stay with us because there's much more excitement ahead. We are confident that we can overcome all challenges and find a way out of this mysterious school. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and you can leave any comment, and we will respond to it.
We have a story about a school. When Dobby and I received an urgent call to the school, I had no idea what awaited us. Usually such calls are related to minor incidents, but not this time. We were informed that the teachers had started acting strangely. They were destroying classrooms, tearing up textbooks, and causing complete chaos. It was unimaginable. Dobby and I immediately realized that this was serious and we needed to act quickly. When we arrived at the scene, the students were already trying to calm their teachers, but it was clear that they had completely lost control.
I had never seen anything like it. Imagine a school where instead of the usual learning process, there is complete chaos. Teachers, who were always examples of order and discipline, suddenly became totally unpredictable. They were breaking desks, scattering teaching materials, and seemed to be in some sort of trance. The students, on the other hand, were trying to calm them down, which was surprising. I saw how the older students took on the role of adults, trying to organize and protect the younger ones. Labrador and I immediately started figuring out what could have caused such behavior in the teachers.
We quickly discovered that everything started when a new history teacher appeared at the school. It was said that he brought with him some ancient artifacts that he used for his lessons. One of these artifacts was a strange box with intricate patterns that he showed to the class. It was right after this that all the problems began. The teachers who saw this box immediately started acting aggressively. We decided we needed to find this box and understand what it was. But where to look in such chaos?
We started our search in the history classroom, but it was a complete mess. All the shelves were overturned, books scattered everywhere. Labrador and I decided to split up to find the box faster. I went to the old cabinets while Labrador checked the desks and drawers. We found a map.
We realized that the map was somehow related to the teacher's hypnosis. We needed to quickly find a way to lift this effect. We approached the school principal, who fortunately had not yet been hypnotized. He told us that he had heard legends about such artifacts, and that the only way to remove their influence was to find the key to these symbols.
Labrador and I set out to find the teacher, The trail led us to an old building on the outskirts of town where he was temporarily living. We entered his room and found numerous books and documents related to magic and hypnosis. Among them, we found a diary where he detailed his experiments with the box and the map. It turned out that he had accidentally activated a spell that caused this chaos. The diary also mentioned that to lift the spell, a ritual needed to be performed in the schoolyard using the map and certain words.
We returned to the school with the map and began preparing for the ritual. The students, despite the chaos, helped us as best they could. We explained to them what needed to be done, and together we started the ritual. Dobie lit the candles while I held the map and read the words from the ancient symbols. Suddenly, everything around us was illuminated by a bright light, and the teachers began to come to their senses. It was an incredible sight. The spell was lifted, and the school gradually returned to normal. The teachers became themselves again, and the students showed that they could handle the most difficult situations. You know, guys, there's another story where you'll recognize your school. Usually in schools there are fights or small pranks, but this time the situation was much more serious. The students decided to play a prank and locked all the doors so no one could get out. They stuffed the toilets with shirts and turned on the water, causing a massive flood. Imagine a school turned into a huge aquarium, with water flooding the halls and classrooms. Dobie and I had to act fast to save the school from destruction.
When we arrived, we were met with an incredible sight. Water was flowing out from under the doors, and inside the school, there was total chaos. Students were in panic, some trying to escape by climbing onto desks and tables. The water kept rising, and the situation was becoming more and more dangerous. We knew we had to act quickly, or the school could suffer even more damage. The first thing we did was contact our elephant friends, who could help us absorb all the water.
While we waited for the elephants to arrive, Dobie and I began evacuating the students. We helped the children get out of the classrooms and directed them to the exits. Some doors were blocked by water, and we had to use our strength to break through the flood. Despite their fear, the students tried to help each other. Dobie and I coordinated their actions to avoid panic and injuries. Meanwhile, the water kept rising, and the situation was getting more critical.
When the elephants arrived, we immediately sprang into action. Thanks to their powerful trunks, the elephants began absorbing the water like giant sponges. It was an impressive sight. They worked quickly and in sync, helping us save the school. The water level gradually started to drop, and the panic among the students eased. The elephants did an incredible job, and thanks to them, the situation was brought under control. Labrador and I continued to oversee the evacuation, helping those who were still inside.
Gradually, thanks to the elephants' efforts, the water level began to fall, and we were able to assess the damage. Many classrooms were flooded, furniture was ruined, and educational materials were lost. However, the most important thing was that no one was hurt. The students and teachers were safe, and that was our main goal. We thanked our elephant friends for their help, as we wouldn't have been able to manage without them. Now we had to deal with the aftermath and figure out who exactly was behind the prank.
We started the investigation, interviewing students and teachers. It turned out that a few high school students decided to play this prank and didn't think about the consequences. They realized what they had done and were genuinely remorseful. We had a disciplinary talk with them, explaining how dangerous such pranks could be. It was important not only to punish the guilty, but also to teach them responsibility for their actions.
In the end, the school returned to normal life. We helped organize repairs and restore the damaged property. The students and teachers learned how important it is to be cautious and think about the consequences of their actions. Dobie and I were glad everything ended well and that we managed to prevent a catastrophe in time. This story became a lesson for everyone, showing that even the most innocent-looking pranks can lead to serious consequences.
And that's how this unusual story ended. Once again, we were reminded how important it is to be attentive and responsible. And our elephant friends showed that they are always ready to help in tough times. It's important to remember that together we can tackle any problem, and true strength lies in unity and mutual support.
And don't forget, despite all these challenges, we still find moments for laughter and joy. The Epic School is just one of the many adventures we're experiencing thanks to you. Your likes and comments are what motivate us to keep going and overcome all difficulties.
Absolutely! So don't worry, we'll be back here to finish this adventure and defeat the main teacher. We'll continue searching for a way out. And of course, we'll make sure to tell you how we managed to do it.
Hello, friends. Today, Dobie and I have a new mission. We entered the game Roblox and found ourselves in a school. But this is no ordinary school. It has been taken over by an evil gym teacher. There are no more lessons, no students, only silence and chaos. We must stop him and restore order.
I can already see that the situation is serious. Desks are overturned, textbooks are scattered on the floor, lockers are open, and at the end of the hallway, there's a huge banner. Here, PE rules. Labrador, it looks like this teacher has turned the school into his personal gym. We need to act fast before things get worse.
We move forward, but the school seems to come alive. The doors behind us slam shut, and now there's no way out. The only path is forward. I can feel that the teacher is nearby. He's definitely watching us. We need to be ready for any traps.
The hallways look strange. Some walls are crooked, staircases lead to nowhere, and the old school clocks are frozen at the same time. Something is definitely wrong. We carefully make our way forward, staying alert. Soon we'll have to face his challenges, but we won't back down.
We enter the first classroom. Everything is upside down. The board is broken, desks are piled up, and even the posters on the walls warn, "Run faster, or you'll stay here forever." This is clearly not just a school, but we are sheriffs, and our job is to save this world.
Getting through this class wasn't easy, but we managed. Beyond it, we found a long hallway leading to the gym. I can already hear the sound of heavy footsteps. The gym teacher is nearby. He doesn't want us to reach him, which means we're on the right track.
The walls are covered with certificates of athletic achievements, but they are scribbled with strange words. The weak do not survive. PE is power. This teacher has gone too far. We need to stop him before the school turns into a nightmare from which no one can escape.
We approach the gym doors. They are massive, made of iron, with the words, "Only the strongest may enter." Behind them awaits the main villain of this school, the teacher himself. It's time for the final showdown.
The doors burst open with a loud crash, and we find ourselves in a massive gym. Old benches line the walls. Rules of training are scribbled everywhere, and in the center stands him. Huge, wearing a tracksuit with a menacing glare. He crosses his arms and smirks at us.
This teacher looks intimidating, but we won't be scared so easily. He clearly wants to test our strength. He's strong and fast, but we're no amateurs either. The key is to stick together, stay calm, and find his weaknesses.
The battle begins. The gym teacher moves fast, but we dodge his attacks. Every step we take brings us closer to victory. He tries to corner us, but we find a way out and keep fighting.
The fight is intense. The teacher throws sports equipment at us, but we skillfully avoid all obstacles. He's not as confident as he was at the start. His energy is draining, but we don't give up. Just a little more, and the school will be free.
And now the final push. The teacher is defeated. He admits his loss and vanishes. The school is under our control again, and now students can return. We did it, Dobie.
Yes, Labrador, this mission wasn't easy, but we did it! Evil has been defeated, the school is saved, and order has been restored. We proved that no one can take over the school as long as the sheriffs are on duty. Great job!
Today, I'm going to tell you a story that started as a routine call but turned into a true test for me and Officer Dobie. It was a day we would never forget. It all began with a distressing call from worried parents. They said their children were staying late at school, and those who did leave looked completely exhausted. We immediately set off to investigate. The school looked strange. The windows were covered with curtains, the yard was empty, and the doors were locked. It seemed like no one was inside, but as soon as we tried to open the door, a loud, commanding voice echoed from the school's intercom.
I recognized that voice instantly. It was Coach Bully, the local gym teacher. He had always been strict, but no one expected him to go this far. His voice echoed through the halls. He declared that the school now belonged to him and that all students had to undergo a real training course. Those who failed the trials would stay in the school forever. He challenged us to prove our strength as well. Labrador and I exchanged glances. Backing down was not in our nature. The moment we stepped forward, iron gates slammed shut behind us. A screen on the wall lit up. Our first challenge was waiting.
We found ourselves in the gymnasium. In front of us was a long path with dozens of rubber balls flying across it at high speed. A single hit could send us tumbling back to the start. We started moving. I ducked as a ball whizzed past just inches from my head. Dobie dodged skillfully, but one ball clipped his side. He stumbled but quickly recovered. We realized that running straight through was a bad idea. We needed to use the equipment as cover. I signaled to Dobie, and we began moving in short bursts, using every column and bench for protection.
The balls kept coming, but we were faster. At the last moment, we leapt behind a wall that led to the next room. The moment we crossed the line, the ball stopped. The first trial was over, but there was no time to celebrate. Ahead of us, the schoolyard doors opened, revealing our next challenge.
On the school's running track, we faced our next test. Hanging from the ceiling were heavy weights, tied to ropes. The rule was simple. If you stopped or slowed down, the weights would drop on you. Coach Bully announced that we had exactly 5 minutes to complete 3 laps. We took off running. The first few meters were easy, but then the weights started swinging, creating new obstacles.
We sped up, trying to predict their movements. I felt one of the weights pass just inches from my back. Labrador barely dodged another. The final lap was the hardest. The weights were falling twice as fast, and we were running on sheer determination. Just as I was about to get caught, Labrador lunged forward and grabbed me by the scruff, pulling me out of danger. We tumbled across the finish line, and the weights came to a halt. Waiting ahead was Coach Bully himself.
We entered the main hall. Coach Bully stood in the center, surrounded by students. He was massive and muscular, and in his hands, he held a whistle, clearly not an ordinary one. He declared that this was the final trial. If we defeated him in a fair fight, the school would be free. If we lost, we would stay there forever.
His whistle turned out to be a weapon. The moment he blew into it, the sound wave hit us so hard that we nearly collapsed. We realized we had to take it from him. I dashed to the side, drawing his attention. Labrador seized the opportunity and lunged forward, knocking the whistle from Bully's hands. The coach roared in anger, but it was too late. Without his whistle, he lost his main advantage.
We used his size against him. As he charged at us, I positioned a gym mat under him, making him lose his balance. Dobie swept his legs out from under him, and Bully crashed to the floor. The students, seeing their greatest fear defeated, stood up to him. They surrounded him and declared that they would no longer obey his rule.
When it was over, the school doors opened and the children ran to freedom. We announced that the school was once again under the protection of the law. Coach Bully was sent for rehabilitation. From now on, PE class would be a place of fun, not fear.
That day taught us a valuable lesson. Victory isn't just about strength, it's about strategy, courage, and teamwork. We saved the school, and now we know, together, no villain stands a chance against us. That day, the world changed. Strange signals began to come from space. At first, we thought it was just static, but soon it became clear. It was a call from aliens. The sky was filled with lights, and we realized we had to act. Dobie and I immediately decided to get to the bottom of this.
Exactly, Labrador. As the signals became more frequent, we began to prepare. The aliens didn't just arrive. They were clearly planning something. We understood that we needed to be ready for anything. At first, they just observed, but soon they began to intensify their actions. We started losing contact with the outside world.
Realizing that we were being influenced, we immediately began constructing antennas to intercept their signals. Each message from them became more and more complex. I never imagined I'd face something like this. We had to figure out what they wanted from us.
When we started decrypting their messages, it became clear. They were preparing for an invasion. We needed to find a way to stop them. At first, we tried negotiating, but they didn't respond. The aliens only strengthened their signals.
Our team developed a special device to block their signals. But as it turned out, that was just the beginning. When we started preparing for the final attack, the aliens began manipulating people, trying to break their will. We knew we had to act fast.
So we created an impulse generator that could destroy their connection. But it was risky. We knew that one mistake and everything could be lost. Nevertheless, we couldn't give up. We pressed the button and the generator started working.
When the generator activated, the aliens began to lose connection. Their ships slowed down, and we felt we had a chance. But it wasn't that simple. They started emitting energy waves, trying to destroy our generator. We had to strengthen the signal.
We connected additional devices. At the last moment, Labrador activated the final impulse that completely shut down the aliens. Their ships began to disintegrate, and the lights in the sky vanished. We won!
The world was saved, but we knew we couldn't relax. This victory taught us to be ready for anything. Dobie and I know that there could be other threats on Earth, and we'll be ready.
Yes, and the most important thing, we realized that together we can face any challenge. This experience became our lesson. We will stand guard over peace, ready to confront any threat.
Friends, watch this video till the end or else she will eat us. Oh no! Hello friends, today we have a new exciting adventure. Dobie and I found ourselves in the game Roblox, in the Escape the Girls Prison mode. But don't be fooled by the name. This place is not as cute as it sounds. The prison is scary, full of traps and challenges, and we were put in its most dangerous part.
Hi everyone! Yes, the prison here is far from girly. We quickly realized that this was going to be a tough challenge. Everyone knows we always get out of the most difficult situations, and that's why we were sent here. But even under such conditions, we found a way to start our escape. In the cake that was sent to us, there was a shovel. We used it to dig through the floor, and that's when all the trials and parkour started.
Yes, Dobie, it was unexpected to find a shovel in the cake, but that didn't stop us. As soon as we got out of the cell, we found ourselves in a network of corridors and rooms full of traps. Everything around looked intimidating. Gloomy walls, dark corners, and the constant feeling that we were being watched.
Exactly, Labrador. The entire interior of this prison leaves no doubt. They want to keep us here at any cost. We've seen a lot of scary places, but this is probably one of the creepiest. We went through several narrow tunnels and dark corridors, but we never doubted our success. We're already used to such trials.
As we progressed, we had to face various obstacles, but each time we found a way to overcome them. It was important to stay calm and keep our wits about us. We trusted each other and knew that together we could handle any difficulties.
Our determination and faith in each other are what keep us moving forward. We've proven time and time again that we can get out of any situation. This time will be no exception. In the prison, we faced not only physical but also psychological challenges. The constant pressure and fear were our companions, but we didn't give up.
With each step, we got closer to freedom. Going through all these trials, we learned to understand each other better and work as a team. It was a real test of our friendship and cooperation.
That's right, Labrador. Now we know that we can handle any difficulty if we stick together. We'll have to fight all the prison guards. If anyone thinks girls are weak, watch this video and you'll never think that again.
As you already know, this prison was specifically designed for girls. It was built to contain those who, in the eyes of its creators, pose a particular danger due to their skills or abilities. Despite its name, the girls' prison has become a place for those who have repeatedly proven their ability to escape from any traps and find a way out of the most difficult situations.
Exactly. But why are Labrador and I here? The fact is, our successes in escaping various prisons have become known throughout Roblox. We have become legends, and our adversaries decided to test us in the most extreme conditions. They wanted to ensure that even in this terrifying prison, created with maximum caution and thoughtfulness, we wouldn't be able to find a way out.
Of course, it wasn't easy for us. We understood that here we would face the most challenging trials they could come up with. Every corner, every door, and every corridor was filled with traps and obstacles. They hoped that in such a place, we wouldn't be able to use our skills and would be trapped forever.
But they underestimated our determination and teamwork. Together, we are a force capable of overcoming any barriers. We knew we couldn't let down those who believe in us and follow our adventures. And although this prison was built for girls, it couldn't break our spirit and our will to be free. Subscribe, friends, and we will definitely get out of here. Or will we? Find out at the end of the video.
Our animal city never stopped surprising us. But what happened this time exceeded all our expectations. What started as an ordinary day turned into something completely bizarre. I woke up and discovered that the entire city had changed. And not just changed, every single resident had suddenly turned into a girl. Yes, that's right. Every animal, whether it was a lion, a rabbit, or even a bear, suddenly became female.
At first, I thought it was a dream or some cruel prank, but when I stepped outside, I saw that the changes had affected everyone. Not only the animals, but I myself had turned into a woman. We needed to figure out what had happened immediately. Labrador and I started an investigation right away. We first interviewed witnesses and learned that the transformation happened in just a matter of minutes.
Yes, I remember talking to Professor Owl, who said that this could only have happened due to a powerful magical influence or an unknown chemical substance. We went to the professor's lab to investigate possible causes. He was one of the few who remained calm in such a situation.
In the lab, we conducted numerous tests. The professor checked the air, water, and even food for any anomalies, but everything seemed normal. Then, the professor suggested we examine the magical artifacts stored in the city's museum. There were many ancient and powerful items there that could have had such an effect.
When we arrived at the museum, we discovered that one of the artifacts was missing. It was an ancient amulet with the ability to change one's gender. We immediately began searching for signs of theft. On the museum floor, we found a few drops of unknown liquid and paw prints leading into the forest.
We followed the trail, and it led us to an old abandoned house on the edge of the forest. There, we found a group of unknown creatures who, as it turned out, had stolen the amulet. They had used it for their own purposes, but lost control of its power, which caused the mass transformation in the city.
After long negotiations and explanations, we convinced them to return the amulet and help us restore the original order. With their help and the professor's knowledge, we devised a plan to reverse the spell. The amulet had to be activated at a specific time under the light of a full moon.
On the appointed day, we gathered all the city residents in the main square. The professor activated the amulet, and under the light of the full moon, the spell began to work. Gradually, everyone started to return to their original forms. It was an amazing sight.
After everyone had returned to their original forms, we discussed what had happened for a long time. The professor suggested that the amulet be kept in a more secure place to prevent such an incident from happening again. This event taught us a lot and brought the city's residents closer together.
So, dear subscribers, sometimes the most unexpected events can bring us all together and teach us to appreciate what we have. We're grateful to everyone who helped us in this situation, and we hope there won't be any more surprises like this.
Dear subscribers, Dobie and I have an incredible story for you. You know, in our animal city, something unusual always happens. But what happened this time even left Dobie and me stunned. At one point, the boys in our city suddenly started acting strangely. We noticed they became overly mischievous, disobedient, and began causing problems for the entire community. Everyone tried to handle the situation, but nothing seemed to work. In the end, a decision was made. All the boys needed to be gathered and locked up in a specially built prison.
Labrador and I were on duty when we received the order from the city's elders. All the boys had to be sent to prison, and only girls would guard them. The boys had become a real threat. They wouldn't listen to their elders, their parents, and even started small rebellions.
So, Dobie and I were given the task of ensuring the safe transport of all the boys to the prison. At that time, we didn't know exactly how everything would unfold. But, as always, we had to act quickly and efficiently. We knew the girls would handle it. They were smart, strong, and determined.
When we arrived at the prison, the situation there was tense. The boys, as you can imagine, weren't going to surrender without a fight. They were confident they could escape or somehow defeat the girls, but the girls guarding the prison gave them no chance. Labrador and I closely monitored the situation, but trusted the girls in their responsibility.
At first, of course, the boys resisted. They didn't want to follow the rules and even tried to stage small protests, but the girls, as true leaders, showed their willpower and wisdom. They didn't resort to violence, but used their communication skills and patience. Over time, the boys began to realize that in order to get out of prison, they had to change their behavior.
Yes, exactly. At one point, when we were observing their interactions, it became clear that the very fact that the boys were in prison played a big role. Being in such an unusual position, they realized that only by working together could they achieve freedom. The girls taught them the importance of respecting one another and cooperating, as well as understanding how crucial it was to follow the rules for the common good. This was a real turning point in the history of our city. After a few weeks, we saw how the boys began to change. They started listening, helping each other, and acting as a team. Dobie and I often visited the prison to make sure everything was going according to plan. When we finally concluded that the boys had learned their lesson, we made the decision to release them. The girls were proud of their work, and the boys were grateful for the chance to change.
Yes, and with that we wrap up our adventure. If it weren't for your comments and likes, it would have been much harder for us. But it's your words that inspired us to keep going and not give up, no matter what. Thank you for your support.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave likes, and follow our new adventures. We promise that even more exciting and challenging trials await us ahead. So, stay with us.
See you soon, friends. Don't miss our next videos. They'll be even more thrilling. Friends, quickly hit the like button and watch the video until the end, so that the evil doll lets me go. What? Where are we, Dobie?
I don't know, but it looks like a children's room with toys everywhere.
Wait, this is something strange. It looks like we've ended up in a room full of evil dolls. Hey everyone, today Dobie and I are trying to escape from the house of evil dolls.
Wow, what's ahead of us? Many scary trials and puzzles. Our goal is not just to get out, but to defeat the evilest doll.
Look at this room. It has a strange atmosphere, kind of like childhood memories.
I agree. We've come back to our childhood, but this is definitely not the place we'd want to be.
It seems like we need to go through this narrow passage. It looks like it leads straight to the house. I hope the doll doesn't start hunting us right away.
We found some candy. I wouldn't try it. Who knows? Maybe she poisoned them. We need to collect 10 of these candies.
Looks like we need to jump here. Let's put that off for now and explore the house. Maybe we'll find something useful.
Here's another candy. Yay, a checkpoint. This means if we die, we can come back here. Look at how much she loves her portraits. Seems like you took your words too literally. It wasn't worth dying just to check. I thought you could go through there. There's another hole ahead. Should we go down? It looks like a place straight from hell, but not exactly.
There's a mountain of dishes here.
For me, a mountain of dishes is real hell.
I hate washing dishes. I actually like it. I turn on my favorite music and sing along. It really lifts my mood.
Strange. Looks like no one's cleaned here in years. Maybe she just buys new dishes instead of washing the old ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can't find another explanation for this mess.
It seems like we still have a long way to go. I can't see the end. These arrows seem hypnotic, like they were made to cause hallucinations.
Did you notice? The floor is like lava, but roses are growing in it. Looks like hallucinations.
I see them too. Nice, we've reached another checkpoint. Seems like the end is near. I hope there's no parkour ahead.
I'm a little tired already. These toys, I feel like there's something sinister about them. Maybe the souls of children are trapped inside.
Brr, creepy. By the way, did you know that the toys in the game Poppy Playtime aren't actually bloody, but a mix of red poppy? I've been studying the plot of this game recently. It's pretty interesting.
No, I didn't know that. I'll have to check it out sometime. But look, we've been tricked. This isn't the end. However, I can see a house in the distance. Looks like we need to head there.
Let's hurry. I even see a Ferris wheel. That looks like an interesting place. I wish the amusement park were near the police station. Hey, Labrador, have you ever thought about candy?
Of course, who doesn't love it? Do you have a favorite candy?
I think my favorites are chocolate candies with nuts. What about you?
I prefer caramel candies. They're so tasty, like sweet music in the middle of the workday.
Sometimes caramel is a real lifesaver. But you know what's better than candy? I don't know. Maybe even more candy.
Just look at her. Why is she sitting there, staring at us and not even greeting us?
It seems like she's pretending to be a lifeless doll, but in reality, she's watching us. That's much creepier.
Maybe we need to find a way to open the gate. Here's a button. We need to press 3 of them. It also says we can hide. Clearly, a dangerous trial awaits us.
Let's go. Look, she's coming down on her long braids. How does she even see anything with those eyes?
Oh no, let's hide quickly. We need to observe her from a safe place.
Let's climb higher. Maybe she won't see us.
Did you see her braids flashing past the room? I would hold my breath.
Let's not forget our main task. We still need to press 2 more buttons.
Good thing we looked around. It's always useful to check everything. There are many rooms here where we can hide, so this trial won't be too hard for us, especially with our experience.
I keep hearing her whispering. It's really unsettling.
The City of Beasts has always been a place where the most unusual events happened. But one of the strangest occurrences took place when the candy monster appeared. It all started when a new candy factory opened in our city. All the residents, especially the children, were thrilled. The factory promised the most delicious and unusual candies. But soon, strange things began to happen. The children complained that the candies started behaving strangely. They seemed to come to life and move. Things got even worse when a real monster, made of sweet treats, broke free from the factory.
This candy monster was terrifying. It was huge, with caramel eyes and lollipop teeth. Every time it stepped on the ground, the sound of cracking candy filled the air, and the atmosphere was filled with a sweet but unpleasant odor. It began to destroy everything in its path. Stores, homes, and even roads. Labrador and I had to intervene urgently. We started investigating what exactly caused the appearance of this monster. We found out that all the candies at the factory were made using experimental ingredients that gave them monstrous power, but also caused unusual mutations.
Dobie and I decided to act quickly. There was no time for a long investigation. We needed to stop the monster urgently. Using our skills and new technology, we managed to find its weak spot. Upon arriving at the factory, we discovered that, despite its terrifying appearance, the monster was actually vulnerable. All the candies that made up the monster were controlled by a single mechanism. We realized that if we disrupted this mechanism, the monster would disappear.
We decided to infiltrate the factory where the monster was created. It was dangerous, as each step could lead to further destruction. But Labrador and I acted swiftly and confidently. Soon, we found the most important part of the factory, a secret storage of the ingredients used to create these living candies. We destroyed the special machine that generated them and immediately began to notice the monster losing its strength. It started to shrink and disappear until it turned into a pile of regular candies.
When the candy monster vanished, the city was once again filled with peace and tranquility. The factory was closed, and all its dangerous ingredients were destroyed. Dobie and I returned to the station, reflecting on how unusual events can affect our city. We realized that sometimes even the most harmless things, like candies, can lead to real catastrophes. But thanks to our teamwork and skills, we managed to stop this threat.
After we defeated the candy monster, our city returned to normal life. Labrador and I understood that it's not only important to solve problems, but also to prevent them, so such disasters don't happen again. The city became safe again, and the children could once again enjoy their sweets without fear. But we always remembered this incident because, as strange as it sounds, candies might not be as harmless as they seem.
In our city of beasts, there has always been no shortage of unexpected events, but one day something truly unusual happened. It all began the day the circus came to town. Among the many attractions and shows was a huge toy store. All the little animals eagerly went there to pick out new toys. But by evening, Dobie and I received a strange call. A mysterious virus had infected the toy store, causing all the dolls in the shop to come to life. They began to move and speak, and some of them became aggressive, causing panic among the children and parents.
When we arrived at the scene, the situation was already under control, but the tension in the air was palpable. We saw the dolls in the shop's windows one by one, standing up and crawling out. Some of them looked friendly, but others, not so much. They started marching through the city, scaring the residents. It was clear that this virus, which had infected the toys, was far more serious than we had thought. Instead of delighting children, the dolls had become a threat to the whole community. Labrador and I immediately began our investigation.
It turned out that the virus that turned the toys into living beings was the result of an experiment by a scientist who once worked with circus dolls, trying to create robots that could mimic living creatures. He had accidentally created something that developed self-awareness. These dolls were no longer just toys. They began to think and make decisions. Some of them didn't like being mere toys for children, and they decided they needed more freedom.
Realizing that we were up against not just ordinary toys, but sentient beings, Labrador and I decided to proceed with caution. We started tracking the dolls' every movement, but they were too fast and agile. We needed to find a way to stop the virus that had brought them to life, or else they could take over the entire city. We set up special equipment to investigate how the virus worked, and soon discovered its source, a strange control panel hidden at the center of the toy store.
We quickly infiltrated the store, and with the help of special devices, we disabled the control panel. But, unfortunately, the virus had already spread so much that even without a control source, the dolls kept moving. However, when we activated the program to neutralize the virus, the dolls began to slow down and eventually stopped altogether. It felt like a miracle, but we knew that it wasn't just about defeating these animated toys. We also needed to figure out how to prevent similar incidents in the future.
Once all the dolls had returned to being just toys, Labrador and I went back to the station to assess the damage and analyze how we could prevent such situations. We realized that even the most harmless things, like dolls, can lead to big problems if they're not properly controlled. But the most important thing was that we had prevented a disaster and restored safety to the city.
That's it, friends. We finally defeated the evil doll queen. This battle was a real challenge. See you soon, friends. Evil Grandpa is already near. Watch the video to the end to save us. Hello, friends. Today, we have found ourselves in a terrifying mode in Roblox, Escape from Evil Grandpa. It turns out this grandpa is not as simple as he seems at first glance. He was abandoned by his grandchildren and children, and now he lives alone in an old, gloomy house. And what did he do? He turned his house into a real nightmare.
Hi, friends. Yes, Labrador is right. This grandpa turned out to be not only evil, but also quite inventive. He has set up many traps and obstacle courses in his house that we need to overcome. But the most interesting part is that he spent his whole life building a giant robot. Can you imagine? In the end, we will probably have to fight this robot. Labrador, run faster so he doesn't catch us. I'm scared.
Grandpa's house is full of strange and dangerous places. For example, he has made floors out of lava and various poisonous liquids. This is not just a house, it's a real death maze. The walls are decorated with paintings of his relatives and friends. It seems Grandpa hasn't completely forgotten about his past.
And these paintings don't just seem to be decorations. They create a strange feeling, as if we're constantly being watched. Grandpa clearly didn't want anyone to find the way out of his house. But Labrador and I aren't the type to give up. We will look for the exit and uncover all the secrets of this place.
It's interesting that Grandpa also engaged in various experiments. Throughout the house, there are traces of his scientific research. It seems he was trying to create something dangerous and powerful. Perhaps that's why he decided to build a giant robot. This house is like a mad scientist's laboratory.
Yes, Labrador, and this makes our adventure even more exciting. We have to be careful and vigilant to avoid falling into his traps. But we will manage. After all, we are a real team, and despite all the dangers, we will move forward and find the way out.
We have a lot to learn about Grandpa and his past. Who knows? Maybe he's just seeking attention and understanding. But one thing is for sure, his house is full of surprises, and every step could be a challenge for us. We need to stay alert and be ready for anything.
Our adventure is just beginning, and we are ready to overcome all the obstacles that Grandpa has prepared for us. Because ahead of us is a meeting with his giant robot. It won't be easy, but we will manage. Or will we? Guys, you definitely need to like and comment to make sure we succeed.
So, friends, we continue our exploration of this creepy house. We have already gone through several rooms, and each one was full of surprises. I especially remember the room with the lava floor. This grandpa clearly loved complex and dangerous mechanisms.
Yes, Labrador, it was just awful. I would never have thought that Grandpa could set such a trap in his house. But we managed, and that's the main thing. And you know what else caught my eye? The paintings. They show Grandpa with various people. Maybe it's his family, or maybe friends. It seems like each painting hides its own story.
These paintings are indeed strange. It seemed to me that in some of them, Grandpa looks like a completely different person, kind and cheerful. What happened that made him so evil? Perhaps loneliness and resentment did their job. But we need to move on and find the way out.
I noticed those changes in his face too. It seems he wasn't always like this. But now we need to focus on our path. There are still many traps and obstacles ahead. And of course, we must not forget about the giant robot that Grandpa has been building all his life. This will be our main challenge.
But first, we need to get out of this house. I think Grandpa left clues somewhere here. Maybe in the basement or the attic. These places always hold something important. We need to carefully inspect every room and not miss a single detail.
I agree, Labrador. We have to be attentive. Every little thing could be the key to solving the mystery. And also, we need to be ready for any surprises. Grandpa could set an ambush at any moment, but we will manage because we have a plan and a team.
Oh, how memorable this story is. As you know, our town is always full of interesting events, but this case truly surprised us. It all started at school when a new physical education teacher named Grandpa Steele appeared. At first glance, he was a kind old man, and all the children immediately liked him because of his gentle eyes and calm voice. But that was just a facade, behind which hid a real mystery.
Yes, Labrador. At first, we didn't even notice that something was wrong. Grandpa Steele was quite an unusual PE teacher. Instead of regular exercises during class, he suggested that the children do their training outdoors, running around the city and completing strange tasks. At first, everything seemed harmless, but with each passing day, his tasks became more and more bizarre. He asked the children to collect things from the streets: bags, phones, wallets, anything small enough so that passers-by wouldn't notice.
The small tasks started with simple requests: bring me something interesting, or take this as a souvenir. But soon, when the children began bringing him other people's things, it started to raise suspicions. One of the students, Sam, accidentally told his parents that he had brought someone's glasses from the park because Grandpa Steele said it was part of the training. The parents immediately suspected something was wrong. They came to us with a complaint, and we started an investigation.
When we began investigating, it became clear that Grandpa Steele wasn't just teaching physical education. He was manipulating the children, making them steal things from passers-by, and those things later ended up in his class. He claimed it was a way for the children to develop agility, but in reality, it was a scheme to collect valuable items while also gaining power. The children felt they were learning something important, not realizing they were becoming part of a criminal activity.
We couldn't just let this go. The day I discovered a couple of bags and phones in the classroom, I realized we needed to intervene. Dobie and I started keeping an eye on Grandpa Steele and his students. We noticed how he spent more and more time outside with the kids, directing them on their hunt. There was no doubt that Grandpa was using his position as a teacher to manipulate the students.
And then came the moment when we decided to take action. We set up a trap. On the day of the next training session, we planted hidden cameras in the area where he usually held the lessons. When Grandpa Steele and the children approached one of the shopping rows, we saw him quietly push the students towards stealing. He even told one of them, "Pick up that bag, it'll come in handy." At that moment, it became clear that we needed to intervene immediately.
When we approached and asked Steele about his actions, he immediately began to justify himself, claiming that his methods were just a training exercise to make the children more agile. But we knew that, in reality, he was using the children for his own gain. We called the police right away, and while they were on their way, we helped the children return all the stolen items to their owners. It wasn't easy, but we couldn't leave the kids in that situation.
After we dealt with Grandpa Steele, all the children returned the stolen items. We talked to them and explained that it's important not only to train your physical abilities, but also to develop moral values. Grandpa Steele was, of course, arrested, and the school held a general assembly for students and parents. We told everyone how important it is not to fall for manipulation and to always remember your principles.
Like I said, there's never a dull moment in our town. That day, strange fiery spots appeared in the sky, and before we knew it, a giant spaceship hovered over the city. It turned out that the aliens weren't here in peace. Their mission was rather unusual. They wanted to take all our grandfathers and grandmothers to a cosmic retirement home.
Yes, Labrador, the aliens were planning to take the elderly, promising them comfort and peace. But the elderly didn't want to leave. The problem was that they were somewhat swayed by the promises, and the aliens began acting, trying to take them right off the streets.
Of course, we couldn't let that happen. Dobie and I immediately began gathering the elderly and explaining that we needed to take action. But the aliens weren't going to back down so easily, and one of our elderly ladies was already on her way to their ship when Dobie and I intervened.
That's when the idea struck me. We quickly gathered the elderly who could help and started devising a plan. Using antennas and old televisions, we set a trap for the aliens. They must have thought they had found an important signal and started following it, just as we had planned.
When they got close, the elderly activated their traps, and Dobie and I sprang into action. The aliens started panicking, and we caught one of them. It immediately threw them off balance.
After that, we set up a real finale. We cornered the alien ship in the town and created interference with their communications. They tried to leave, but their ships began losing stability.
And so, we not only protected our elderly, but we also sent the aliens off peacefully. In the end, no one had to go to the cosmic retirement home, and the elderly threw a celebration in honor of their victory.
Yes, that day was a real lesson for the aliens. The elderly in our town aren't just old people, they are real heroes. And for you and me, Labrador, it was yet another example of how important it is to act together.
Well, friends, our adventure in the Escape from Evil Grandpa mode has come to an end for today. We learned a lot about his past and went through many challenges.
Thank you for being with us every step of the way. Your likes and comments help us get better and braver.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on new exciting adventures in Roblox and other games. There's still plenty of fun ahead.
See you next time, friends. We'll definitely meet again in new thrilling adventures.